The audience clapped on cue, but the air was off. Something about the way Candace Owens sat, spine straight, eyes already scanning the table, made it clear this wasn't going to be a segment. It was going to be a standoff. The producers had framed it as a conversation about cultural division. What they really wanted was collision. Joy Behar grinned like it was just another day. Whoopi Goldberg looked tired before it even started. And Candace? Candace didn't smile at all. She knew what they were expecting: attitude, confrontation, a soundbite to spin. What they didn't expect was precision. Whoopi opened first. We're joined today by political commentator Candace Owens. And Candace, I have to ask, do you even believe in dialogue anymore? Or is your whole career just shouting into the void? Candace didn't blink. You call it shouting because it's not your side talking. The crowd chuckled awkwardly. Joy leaned in. So you're saying the truth only exists when you say it? Candace shook her head once. No, I'm saying the truth exists. You just cut to commercial every time it shows up. That landed like a dropped mic, but no one cheered. Because everyone could tell Candace Owens wasn't here to entertain. She was here to expose. Joy Behar forced a laugh. Oh, come on, Candace. That's dramatic, even for you. Candace leaned in, voice steady. What's dramatic is how this show pretends to be a platform while silencing anyone who challenges your worldview. You don't invite people like me to listen. You invite us to lose. Whoopi Goldberg sat forward now, her tone cooling. Nobody's silencing you. You're sitting here, aren't you? You've got a mic. Candace nodded. And yet every time someone brings receipts, you call it misinformation. Every time someone mentions corruption, you call it conspiracy. Joy cut in again. We have a responsibility to protect facts. Candace turned to her. Then let's talk facts. Let's talk about your donors. Let's talk about the networks that fund your segments. Let's talk about who decides what's safe enough to say on air. The crowd shifted, uneasy. Not hostile, just tense. Sonny Hostin raised a hand, trying to slow it down. We're journalists. We ask hard questions. Candace's eyes didn't move. No, you're actors with cue cards. And the only hard question I've heard today is why the people who preach truth are terrified of real answers. Silence. Real silence. No punchline. No laugh track. Just the sharp weight of a table no longer in control. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back slowly, folding her hands in front of her. You've made a career out of calling people hypocrites, Candace. But let me ask you something. Who are you accountable to? Candace didn't hesitate. I'm accountable to the people who don't get invited to this table. The ones you mock when the cameras stop rolling. The ones who see through the scripts and still get told they're crazy. Joy Behar raised her voice. You sit here acting like you're some kind of truth teller, but all you do is provoke. Candace turned toward her, calm. No, Joy. I provoke you. Because you've spent years hiding bias behind banter. And when someone refuses to play along, you call it chaos. Sonny Hostin stepped in. This show covers real issues. Women's rights. Education. Civil rights. We platform those stories. Candace nodded. As long as those stories fit your narrative. The minute someone brings numbers that challenge your beliefs, you turn the mic off or you call security. The audience didn't clap. They didn't need to. Because they could feel it. The mood had changed. Whoopi's voice dropped. You sound like someone who didn't come to speak. You came to burn the place down. Candace looked around the table. No. I came to hold a mirror up. If the reflection makes you uncomfortable, that's not my fire. That's your shame. The room was dead quiet. And everyone knew. This wasn't over. Joy Behar crossed her arms, her voice tighter now. So what's your point, Candace? That we're part of some grand media machine? That we're all corrupt? Candace Owens looked her dead in the eye. I'm saying you stop being journalists the moment your paychecks depended on silence. Gasps flickered through the audience. Not from shock, from recognition. Whoopi shook her head. You think calling us corrupt makes you righteous? You've been funded too. You've played the game. Candace didn't blink. I admit where I stand. I don't pretend I'm neutral while pushing propaganda with a smile. Joy leaned forward. That's rich coming from someone who's made millions doing exactly what you accuse us of. Candace's voice dropped. The difference is, I never called myself the moral compass of America. The tension at the table turned sharp. Not explosive, just pointed, measured, deadly. Sonny Hostin's voice broke the silence. So what do you want from this conversation? What's your goal? Candace's tone didn't change. I want people watching this to understand that this table doesn't represent truth. It represents approval. And the second you step out of line, you're labeled dangerous. She turned to the crowd. Ask yourselves why the truth needs a permission slip on this show. No one moved. Because whether they agreed or not, they knew exactly what she meant. Joy Behar forced a laugh again, but it didn't land. You're acting like we're the problem with America. Like this show has that much power. Candace Owens sat still. You don't need power. You have reach. That's more dangerous than control. Whoopi's voice was calm, but clipped. You came here with your talking points, Candace. You're doing exactly what you accuse us of. Candace turned slowly toward her. The difference is, I expect you to challenge me. You expect me to obey. That line didn't shout. It didn't demand attention. It simply existed, undeniable and cold. Sonny Hostin leaned forward. You're making this personal. That's not what this table is about. Candace nodded. It's always personal. For every single person who lost a job for saying something you don't like. For every guest you never invited back because they didn't clap on cue. Joy jumped in. We've had real debates here. Candace cut her off. Clean. No. You've had rehearsed arguments with people who agreed with you in slightly different ways. The audience stayed quiet. Phones were out now, recording low. Not for drama. For evidence. Whoopi spoke again. You think we're afraid of you? Candace's voice was quiet. No. You're afraid of what happens when people stop being afraid of you. And just like that, the silence wasn't defensive anymore. It was something else. Respect. Or maybe fear. But it was real. Whoopi Goldberg finally leaned back, the weight in her posture different now. Less defiant. More measured. So let's say you're right, she said. What do you want to happen? You want people to stop watching? Walk away from the table. Candace Owens didn't hesitate. No. I want people to stop confusing applause with truth. I want them to see this for what it is, a stage, not a courtroom. And I want the people who sit here to stop pretending they speak for anyone but themselves. Joy Behar scoffed. We don't pretend to speak for everyone. Candace turned to her again. But you do pretend to shame everyone who disagrees. You frame it as values, but it's vanity. Sonny Hostin crossed her arms. You're taking cheap shots. Candace shook her head. No. I'm pointing out how fast this table goes from inclusive to intolerant the second someone challenges your tone. That stuck. It didn't sting. It settled. Because deep down, everyone watching had seen it before. Whoopi's voice came softer now. You're angry. You have your reasons. But don't mistake this show for the enemy. Candace looked around once more. Then stop acting like dissent is betrayal. The air in the room held something different now. Not agreement, but exposure. And no one was laughing anymore. Joy Behar looked like she wanted to speak again, but she didn't. Not right away. The table had lost its rhythm. The usual back and forth, the smug safety of practiced outrage, wasn't landing the way it used to. And Candace Owens saw it. She stood up slowly. Not in protest. Not in anger. Just clarity. This is the part where the segment ends, she said. Where the music rolls, and the host thanks me for coming. Even though you never wanted me here. Whoopi raised an eyebrow. You're walking out. Candace shook her head. No. I'm standing up. You don't need to follow. She turned toward the crowd. You can believe what you want about me. You can spin this however you need to. But if someone doesn't say it out loud, then everyone watching starts to believe silence is agreement. She paused just long enough to make the moment land. You don't have to like me. But you don't get to pretend this table is sacred while it only makes room for people who clap at the right time. And with that, she walked off. No music. No applause. Just a room full of people suddenly unsure what they were supposed to feel. The host sat quiet. The producers didn't yell cut, because no one was performing anymore. Candace had stripped the stage, and what was left was the truth they couldn't edit.